I never thought I'd see my daughter hanging from a tree on our own land. 47 seconds, that's how long it took me to cut her down. They thought it was just a prank, a message from the HOA president's son. They had no idea her father was a Navy SEAL, and I had receipts. The morning it all started felt wrong before I even saw the paper. Cold, wet Virginia air, smell of pine and damp dirt, but there was something else. A bad kind of cold, the kind that comes from a notice nailed to your gate. White paper brass tack, official seal. Sterling Meadows, Homeowners Association. A $100 fine. Unkempt agricultural boundary adjacent to a residential viewshed. Their fancy way of saying my fence didn't look good enough for their beige paradise across the road. I'd been a SEAL for 20 years. You learn to trust your gut. And mine told me this wasn't about a fence. It was about pressure. It was the 10th fine in 6 months, all delivered by hand in the dark. A message. Across the road, Sterling Meadows gleamed like a sterilized utopia. Identical houses, perfect lawns, and a man named Hal Barlow. Sitting on top of it all like a smug little king. HOA president-developer bully with a smile. My farm had been here a century long before his empire of beige. After my wife died, it was all I had left, her land, her oak tree, and our daughter June, and I wasn't letting any of it go. Hal didn't like that answer. That morning his car, some black German thing too clean for dirt roads, pulled up to my gate. He stepped out in a pastel polo, looking like he was headed for a golf commercial. His son, Sterling, sat in the passenger seat, scrolling his phone, face full of boredom and entitlement. Don Hal called out his tone, oily. "Got my notice, I see." "I got it," I said, staying on my porch. "Just a formality," he smiled, flashing his veneers. "We have to maintain a certain standard for the community." "This isn't your community," I told him. "It's my farm. Your community ends at the asphalt." He didn't like that. His smile tightened. "No need to be hostile. I've made you a generous offer. You could buy something more manageable, safer maybe. Raising a teenage girl out here alone, things can happen." The words hit me like a tripwire. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a threat. He walked back to his car, but before the door shut, I saw Sterling glance up, drag a finger slowly across his throat, and smirk. That was the day I knew they'd go after her. The fines kept coming. Petty stuff, trash can visible from road tractor noise, unauthorized structure. And at the same time, June's locker got spray painted. A tire slashed. Fake rumors online. Each incident small enough to be dismissed, but together they drew blood. One night, I set a military-grade trail cam high in the old oak tree that marked our property line. The same tree Hal's lawyers had tried to get an easement through. I wasn't just waiting anymore, I was watching. Then came the day everything cracked. It was a clear autumn afternoon. I was fixing a fence in the west pasture, hammering staples, thinking about winter hay. June should have been home by 4. At 4:30 there was no music, no truck, no laughter echoing through the kitchen. Her backpack was by the door phone, straight to voicemail. I knew, I just knew. When I watched the trail cam footage later, it played like a nightmare on repeat. June stepping out of the woods, headphones on. Then 5 figures in varsity jackets vaulting the fence, Sterling and his crew. They surrounded her. She stood her ground, chin high. She was my kid. Then the rope, the zip ties. Sterling filming, circling her like a shark, mouthing the words I'll never forget. "Your daddy's some big bad SEAL, right? Superman gonna fly in and save you." They hoisted her up, toes scraping the dirt, laughing, leaving her there. But June, she didn't panic. I watched her eyes close, her breathing slow, 4 seconds in hold for 7-8 out. The training I drilled into her since she was little. Then I saw her fingers twitch, tapping on her watch, SOS. I didn't see it then. I was still at the house, shouting her name into the wind, when a faint whistle cut through the air, 2 tones high, then low, our emergency signal. But it wasn't June blowing it. It was Finley, my old neighbor to the north. 70, tough as barbed wire. He must have seen the attack and was using our code to relay the signal. Moments later, the landline rang. Finley again. "Don, it's your girl." They strung her up. "I called the sheriff, but he's 20 minutes out. You don't have 20 minutes?" He was right, I didn't. I grabbed my knife and sprinted to the hangar. My Bell 206 sat waiting, a quiet business I ran, giving tourists rides over the Blue Ridge. I fired it up, blades screaming. The roar filled the valley as I lifted off, banking toward the ridge. From the air, the oak came into view, a small figure hanging beneath it. My heart stopped. I flew low fast, making a pass over the tree to draw any eyes upward. Then I circled, dropped into a clearing 300 yards away, and jumped. The rotor wash masked my footsteps as I tore through the woods. When I reached the oak, she was still alive, barely. Her lips were blue, her eyes steady on me. No tears, no panic, just trust. I cut the rope in one clean slice, caught her as she fell. Checked her airway. 47 seconds from flyby to ground. She coughed once, harsh, ragged, and breathed. "Hey, kiddo," I whispered. "Hey, Dad," she rasped. "Took you long enough." "That's my girl." The rage came later, cold, surgical. I took photos of her neck, wrists, the zip ties, the rope. I collected every piece like evidence from a mission. Because that's what this was now, a mission. The footage showed everything. Sterling's face, the others. I backed it up to 3 drives, one in the cloud. I had proof, but I needed motive. One of the boys, Caleb, had looked scared in the video, eyes darting like he already regretted it. I knew his family. Decent folks, he'd break first. I found him behind his house that evening. He turned white when he saw me. "Mr. Marov." "You were there," I said quietly. "You held her arms." "It was Sterling's idea," he stammered. "We didn't mean for it to go that far. Kidnapping and assault aren't pranks." I stepped closer. "Who told him to do it?" He hesitated, shaking. "His dad." "Mr. Barlow, he said your daughter was the key. If you thought she wasn't safe, you'd sell the farm. We were supposed to scare her, make it look like she was unstable." I could barely breathe. They'd planned to fake a suicide attempt. Caleb showed me the text messages from Sterling. "Dad says it's on the oak tree. Make it look convincing. Get the rope from the garage." That was all I needed. By the next day, the Barlow PR machine was spinning fast, calling it a hazing incident gone wrong. But the truth was ready to burn through the lies. That night, the HOA hosted its annual gala. Perfect stage, cheap champagne sequins, smug laughter, and Hal Barlow, center of it all, about to give his big speech about community values. I was upstairs in the control booth, laptop plugged into the AV system, courtesy of the clubhouse tech kid whose sister went to school with June. Hal stepped up to the mic, smiling wide. "My friends, my neighbors." That's when I hit play. The HOA logo on the projector vanished, replaced by the grainy trail cam footage. The ballroom went dead silent. They watched frozen as Sterling and his buddies appeared on screen. The rope, the laughter, June's face. Then the audio, my voice on the helicopter radio, Finley's frantic call, the sound of blades and wind, photos of June's bruised neck, wrists, the zip ties, and finally the texts. "Dad says it's on the oak tree." Every word, every timestamp glowing 10 feet tall behind Hal's head. He spun around, pale, shouting, "This is fake. It's doctored." No one moved. No one believed him. Sterling, in blind panic, lunged for the stage, trying to pull the cables. I met him halfway. One quick motion, and he was on the floor, cuffed seconds later as Deputy Miller and his team stormed in. Hal's arrest was quieter, just the sound of rain outside and the click of handcuffs. The thunder rolled like punctuation. By morning it was everywhere, local news, state headlines, social feeds. HOA president arrested for conspiracy and attempted murder. His development collapsed overnight. The board resigned. Phase 2 of Sterling Meadows. The road through my land was canceled before sunrise. I didn't celebrate. I don't think I ever will. Weeks later, I climbed that same oak tree and took down the trail cam. Its work was done. In its place, I hung a brass bell, ship-style, with a clear, bright ring. June stood beneath it, strong again, the scar on her neck thin and white. She gave me that stubborn little smile, tugged the cord, and the sound echoed through the valley. It wasn't a warning this time. It was a line in the air, a promise. "We're still here. This is our home. And if anyone ever comes up that road again, they'll learn exactly what happens when you try to break the wrong family." Sometimes justice doesn't come from the system. It comes from the people who refuse to stay afraid.